Neil Druckmann leaves Naughty Dog production on HBO's The Last of Us. Did it work?
Need some water?
I got some game fuel right here instead of the H2O. Oh, hi there. Welcome. Hello to Triangle Squared, a PlayStation podcast. I'm your host, Brett Beck, and alongside me, as always, is one Mr. Chris Figs. Chris, it has been 2 weeks since our last episode.
It's a lot of weeks.
Lots of gaming has taken place. And we've also gotten a complaint that apparently we spoiled Death Stranding 2's Avalanche, which I don't even remember being a thing. So I'm just going to throw out there as a starting point to this episode. We'll get there in a second. Look, first and foremost, if you're new to the show, welcome. We hope you stick around, enjoy the show. We're going to talk about some things today. It's not a crazy news week. EA is doing EA stuff. Microsoft doing Microsoft stuff. The Last of Us 2 got an update, a little bit of a surprise, and there's some news on Neil Druckmann that was teased in the cold open there. We get together and talk about gaming through the lens of being fans of gaming, but through the lens of being PlayStation players primarily. We play when and where we find something interesting, but as we say, it's been getting easier and easier by the year to do that all in one place as gaming kind of homogenizes in positive and not so positive ways. So we're going to get to talking here in a minute about what we've been up to, what we've been playing, and Death Stranding 2 is a big part of that. But yeah, Chris, as a return to that conversation, we had a listener. We had two comments on Spotify, actually. One of them was that in regards to our VR conversation, and I think I said this in the episode, but I guess maybe I didn't. I thought it and never came back to it. There is a button on the VR2 that allows you to press it and see through the camera lenses to find your controllers. So there's that. And then secondarily, that we had mentioned we weren't going to spoil Death Stranding 2. And then apparently they found out there was going to be an avalanche, which I don't know what that means, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I don't know if it was something I said or something you said. I haven't even been playing the game. I hadn't started it at that point. So
I said it, but I don't know, man. I guess this is maybe a PSA, but I can't consider something shown in trailers a spoiler. I think we do very well in dancing around spoilers on this show. As Brett knows, I'm pretty conscious not to spoil shit, even when he does it to himself. So I don't know. I
spoil myself by just guessing things correctly often. But
if I had checked myself
situation
at the door today, I would have spoiled the end of the game. Yeah. For you. Because I was typing it and I'm like, I don't know if he's where I think he is. But they talked about the fact that there was dynamic weather in the trailers. I'm not gonna, there's swords in The Witcher. I don't know. I'm sorry that.
Well,
that was
and that's my thing. Is I'm sorry that he feel, and that's what I said. I was like, look, man, spoilers is a thing where for different people it means very different things. And I understand that some people do approach, and actually, it sounds like you're not. But I guess we've never actually come out and talked about it much. But there are people that are very. I don't look if I'm interested in a game. I don't look at anything. I don't watch any trailers. I don't hear any announcements. I don't watch state of plays. I don't watch gameplay deep dives. I see the first thing, the first announcement, determine that I'm into it, and then I wait to go in as blind as you possibly can. And that's awesome. I have no problem that people do that. I would never say that that's a stupid thing to do. But I think if you hear someone mention something that is shown in the trailers, I don't think that that's to the level that I would ever look at them and go, they spoiled the game. No, they spoiled a light thing. And I think you have to know that if you want to listen to something like a podcast where you cannot control the conversation that people are having, if they mention something that's obviously being shown in promotional material in an effort to talk about a game that is in the news cycle or in the play cycle, or sometimes even like us playing games that are very old and just coming back around and enjoying talking about them. think it's really difficult to hold someone to a standard where they can't say something about something that the game markets itself on. And I would go so far as to say that Death Stranding 2's marketing is very okay with giving away very big parts of the game.
Oh,
and
my God.
yeah, so I mean, at that end, I think it just has to be a thing where I won't even say what they are. Fine, go play it, do what you want. I am still sorry that you felt spoiled because it's a terrible feeling. But I think that in this world, you're going to have to either choose to not partake in something like podcasts and legitimately shield yourself, or you're going to have to realize that someone lightly broaching something that's being marketed is not a huge deal. So I think you got.
I'm not. I wouldn't say
pick your poison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like I don't know. Again, like being spoiled sucks. Brett knows firsthand how pissed I get if I get spoiled on something I don't want to get spoiled on. But yeah, to me, it's like I don't know. You watch it if I'm watching a trailer that's public knowledge, like and it's exactly like you said. Like I feel like you shouldn't. I'm not watching movie podcasts right now because I have yet to see Superman. So it's the same thing.
Smart, right?
Yeah.
And I can't wait until you do see it because I want to talk to you about it. But that'll be a conversation that eventually makes itself around, and we can enjoy that. But I guess to kind of put a real tack on there is what is the purpose of trailers? The purpose of trailers is to get word of mouth going so that people have more interest in the thing during its cycle in the media. So for a game is always purchasable, but as we all know, everyone wants their games to do as good as they can on day one. Same is true of movies. You want a strong opening weekend, and you hope that a strong opening weekend can continue to even better word of mouth spreading, so people continue to come see it. And that's so. It feels weird to say, like, the whole point of marketing is to get people talking about it, and the whole point of podcast is for people to talk about things that you are interested in. That's why you clicked on it. It just feels a little defeating.
We don't need to belabor the point. I just think that, I think it's fair to say that if you're listening to this show, if it's shown in a trailer, it's probably going to get talked about. But I think we've proven that we take great care not to spoil things. So at least story wise, I think that's where I draw the line is like, I don't want to hear the story. I don't want to know that kind of stuff. Even to the point where like, I was pissed on Twitter that I found out what happens at the end credits of Superman because it's just news articles, and like, I think that's different. So either way.
Yeah. And, I think one of the weird things about games, and actually a lot of what I have to say about Death Stranding without actually talking about spoilers, is the really thin line that I think not all games need to do. But one of the things that I enjoy about games like Death Stranding is the fact that they really do try to toe in both hands and kind of keep an equilibrium as much as they can. This fine line between story and gameplay and where those two meet. Because invariably, there are things that someone can talk about and they could technically be talking about gameplay, but it still has repercussions on the story. I don't think the fact that there's an avalanche on a game that's about carrying things through rugged terrain is a very surprising one. But there are moments in this game that I do think constitute gameplay while specifically having impact on the way that you would view the story that I think you got to be careful about. So there's reasons why it's a little more difficult with games because you still can talk about the mechanical structure, how the game feels, and you can accidentally run the risk of getting a little close to talking about the story. So we do our best, like you said, but hopefully, like I said, it's just a PSA. If you know that if it's shown in a trailer, we're going to talk about it. So if you've been trying to avoid trailers and you hear us start to talk about a game, maybe use those timestamps that I spend so much time figuring out and skip to a spot where you can tell we're not talking about that game, and we'll do our best to contain our talks within that. Chris, let's get going on our normal roll here. So, of course, Death Stranding 2 is somewhere in our ballpark of things that we're going to talk about, but I want to end on that. And I really want to get two out of the way pretty quickly, and they're both yours. Look, you are the Balatro man. You've been playing a lot of Balatro, but you've recently nailed another deck down with the Gold Stake. So give us a quick update on where you are in Balatro, and then let's talk about Dead Cells. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I finished the black deck. That was really nice. Got that done. Super
Hey,
happy
Chris,
about that because that sucked.
just an interesting thing. In the time that you finished the black deck, we also in our card game finished the black deck.
Yeah,
Look at
it's
that.
true. That's good synergy in my life. So yeah, I'm close and yet so far from getting that platinum, but it's creeping up. I'm like only got like 5 decks left to do, maybe less, 4 or 5, and then I've
Nice.
got a lot of jokers to get. But there's like a non-zero chance I finish this platinum. But 400 hours so far. It's been a lot of Balatro over the past year, man. What a
That
game!
is an awful lot of Balatro.
I love it so
But
much.
I am proud of you. And I wouldn't say it pales in comparison, but your cookie clicker timer is getting up towards your Balatro timer. And something's got to be said about that.
Dude, we'll talk about that.
Well, let's talk Dead Cells, because I think it's interesting.
Cells.
Dead Cells is I love that game. Now, I've not gone back and played it since the 2.5 months I spent mainlining that game. I would like literally come home from work, sit down and play for 2.5 hours. Arguably, I was a bad father and partner during that time period. The game is very, very addictive. And I think it might be the actual best example I've seen of what we always talked about with Returnal, where the Returnal just completely missed what I personally enjoyed. A lot of people loved Returnal, so I'm glad. But you and I think had a similar sentiment of Returnal completely missed what makes roguelites fun to us, which is quick. Like, oh, I made a mistake, but I get to immediately dive back in.
Right back,
it's quick.
Yeah.
It's quick succession. I get to keep playing. I can fix myself. A perfect run takes like an hour max, and you're doing really well. That's fun. Dead Cells, I feel like hit a crack pot. I was like smoking crack from playing the controller was seeping crack cocaine into my hands.
Your pores.
Yeah, my pores on my hands. So, what drew you back to this game? Because this is not your first time jumping into it, right?
No, it's not. I don't know. I don't have a good reason. I've just kind of been out. I've been looking at what I have installed and just kind of being like, I don't really want to play anything. And then I'm not buying anything. So I'm like, okay, well, I just toss on Dead Cells and I'm like, I'll just play through all the DLC. So I started a fresh save on PS5 and I've just been running through it. And it's one of those things where like when I first started, I was like, I don't know how much I'll play of this. And I put like probably 15 hours into it over the last 2 weeks. Just like, when I was playing Death Stranding too, it was like, okay, I'm doing a bunch of these missions. I need a break. I'll play Balatro or Dead Cells. It was like that. And then Dead Cells got to a point where like you can get into a flow state where you're like, all right, I'm just moving. Like I'm just going. And like there were times in Dead Cells, one of the best runs I ever had, and I've never done it again. I'm sure it's not all that crazy, but I got the 2 minutes and the 30 without being hit. And I was like, that's a good run. That was a good run. It's funny because like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go for the platinum. That sounds crazy. But I have been trying to like get past the first boss without getting hit as like just to see if I can do it. And I keep finding myself getting almost there, getting hit, and then just getting hit over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's like once you lose it, it's gone.
Done. It's over. Yeah. So it's really fun. I've gotten so I think so I got to the last boss of the Castlevania DLC. Not to spoil anything, but I don't need to tell you who the last boss of the DLC about Dracula is. So I got to him.
This just in, Chris spoiled. What is it? Return to Castlevania? What's the
Castlevania franchise? I think it's Return to Castlevania. But it's cool. I love the way that like the DLC is like layered in. Because there's this point where you'll go through and then you find these new gates and then you'll unlock somebody from that universe and they just stand there in the regular menu and you just talk to them and stuff like that. But it was what I found really cool is you can find these stairs because they're the first level. You go through it and then you can get like halfway through the level and then it spits you back and it's like come back later. So I thought that was neat. I found that cool. A lot of the weapons they've added are really cool. Like they have the hyper light drifter, like the gun and the sword. And
Nice.
what I love is like you can every bullet that an enemy has from the gun is like a crit times. So you can just get these giant combos. I've been having a lot of fun with the pans. I don't know if you use the pans, the Pankachus or whatever. So cool. I like them a lot. The weapons are really fun. I don't like the bows or the shields, so I just basically go full red builds all the time. Some of the like sub weapons are a little broken though. Like, did you play? I don't know if the long legs thing was in the original game, but it's like this like spider with a triceratops head. And
I don't think so. That doesn't sound
so
familiar.
good.
Yeah, because I played all of mine like at launch immediately, and I did my normal thing where I hyper focused on it, played the shit out of it, beat it. You know, I beat a few runs, and then moved along. But yeah, very fun.
I don't know. It's a great game.
Yeah,
really
basically, I didn't play any of the stuff added by. You have to forgive me. I cannot
like
for the life of me remember who the developer who took over before recently saying that they were ending development on it. And I thought I'd be able to find that. This is actually kind of sad for them. I thought I'd be able to find it on the Dead Cells wiki, and it looks like I can't. But at some point, Motion Twin moved along and kind of let the development of the game go to a new developer. And I think the developer that was behind that Rogue Prince of Persia game that Ubisoft put out.
Yeah.
And I can't think of the name of that developer, and since they're not on the wiki, unfortunately, I'm just missing that. But
I don't know. But I'm glad to be in this like 2D mode because I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna buy the Ninja Gaiden Rebound.
Oh yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that one. And then that'll probably take me up through. I don't know what I'm gonna be playing in August, but Trails in the Sky remake is in September, and I'll be finally like going into Trails. Like that's when I'm gonna start like finally do it again. Because I really enjoyed what I played of that on Steam Deck. So Dead Cells, Ninja Gaiden, and what's the other game I'm playing? Holy shit. Well, we haven't gotten to the next game I'm playing. I'm sure Brett wants to have a whole soliloquy about it and shit like that. So what's next?
By the way,
I
think that the name of the developer is Evil Empire.
Yes, I think that's correct. I guess I could have just started the game, but
and probably gotten to it quicker than I am. I gotta say, sucks for them that they have actually at this time been active developers on Dead Cells longer than Motion Twin. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to say anything, but it really sucks that I had to search multiple weird ways to even get to seeing who else worked on Dead Cells when arguably they worked on it just as much, if not more, than the original team. I know that the game wouldn't have existed for them to have continued to work on without the original team, and so I still think a lot of credit's due to Motion Twin. But it's crazy to me that at that point you don't add Evil Empire under the wiki, under developers, when they were actively developing maybe even more content, even if it was built on your game's structure, than what the original game offered. So that's kind of crazy, but
it's weird.
All the same. Yeah, so the next game is, I almost debated ending on it, but I think ending on our shared titles a little bit better.
I'm surprised you didn't.
But it's okay, because I have plenty to say along this, depending on what comes out of your mouth. But as a starting point, I feel like things have been pretty good. So for people who've long time listened to the show, you'll know that I am a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts. And my favorite Kingdom Hearts game has long been Kingdom Hearts 1. I absolutely adore it. There's something about the game that is just so different than the rest of the series that even though I love the rest of the series, I'd say my second favorite title is probably Birth by Sleep. I think that game's really great, and it does a lot of things very differently than 1. But 1 has got this real charm and sense of like really pushing to do something unique and new and interesting. And I think it wears it on its sleeve in such a cute way, but also a very endearing one. The story is really serious, but also wrapped into Disney stuff so it's weird. Chris and I were talking about it, and he goes, I feel like and not in a derogatory way as much as I was going to say that. So without the context, it's going to sound weird, but he said something about a game that's arguably a baby's game. And he goes, well, a kid's game. And I was like, yeah, until you see the difficulty curve in Kingdom Hearts 1. And he goes, well, yeah, but a game clearly meant for kids to want to play. And that's true, really. I mean, it is at the end of the day. So Chris has been playing Kingdom Hearts 1 after multiple attempts to start Kingdom Hearts 1 and never making it past Destiny Island. So with Destiny Islands behind you,
Yep.
and a little bit of a upkeep, you made it through Traverse Town, you made it through Wonderland. Are you in Deep Jungle at the moment?
No, I am
Coliseum?
in the Coliseum. Yeah, I'm fighting the don't complain. I'm fighting the Cerberus. I'm not dancing around spoilers for a fucking 28-year-old game or whatever it is. I'm fighting the Cerberus. So it's
We do a pretty good job of not spoiling stuff on here. Fuck you, we're fighting Cerberus.
whatever. I'm not playing coy with Kingdom fucking Hearts. But yeah, I'm in this weird.
I mean, what else are you going to do in a
but
Coliseum-inspired world?
You're right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, look, I won't bury the lead. I like the game more than I expected to. It's like it's a weird. It's a weird game where for some reason, like I'm playing it the whole time with like one of those slight smiles, you know.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, this is kind of nice. Like, this is kind of cute. I was like, oh, there's a certain character with a big sword I wasn't expecting to see here.
Yeah.
Although I will say, I thought they were teasing another character from that same game in that scene, because that was very much the other character code. If you know what I'm talking about.
Well, to be fair, if you played more of that series, you'd kind of know what they're going for there. Yeah, but it's okay. You haven't necessarily seen that story through to completion.
Yeah, but I've met Vincent, and that was very Vincent coded to me when I was watching that scene of the cloak coming down, and they don't show the sword. Yeah, he's just walking in. I was like, oh, cool, Vincent. And I'm like, oh, cool, not who I expected to see here with the exact same eyes as Sora. That's interesting.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's like it's very cutesy. I don't know. It's a weird thing because I'm so much older than I should be to be playing this game. Where
I disagree, but I get what you mean. There's a different level of nostalgia for people like me and Sean who played it when we were young. But I think the game holds up for an adult to play. And I don't even mean in the sense where you're like, wow, this is for kids, but it still works for me. No, I think it's something that's really made to bridge the ages. It's something that can be compelling for kids, but there's just as much meat there for someone who can actually understand the nuances of what the story is telling.
It's not... It's... So it's... Maybe this is a weird tangent, but I think it'll help. Like, I think part of why I don't like Star Wars is because, like, as an adult, when I watched them, because I watched them for the first time before Force Awakens,
sure,
it was one of these things where I was like, these were built up for so long, and they're just not what I expected. You know, they look worse, and the stories are. I don't want to get into an argument. I didn't enjoy the stories very much.
You won't get an argument with me.
Not from you. I just don't want to hear about Star Wars. I don't like Star Wars. There's only one good Star Wars movie two good Star Wars movies that I've ever seen, and it's Empire and Rogue One. Those are the only good Star Wars movies. I'm sorry to break it to you.
I'm sorry to break it to everybody, but Revenge of the Sith is actually the best Star Wars movie.
That's insane. Empire is a perfect movie.
Empire is my second favorite.
For hating the rest of them, but Empire, incredible stuff.
Empire is my favorite of the original trilogy, without doubt, and it's probably my second favorite. But go ahead.
But I feel like if I had watched those and had that tie of like, oh, my dad showed me Star Wars, and that kind of thing that a lot of other people had with it, I would have liked them more. And that's the same way I feel with Kingdom Hearts.
I have a bit of that because of just childhood shenanigans. So my parents were divorced, and it was my dad's weekend, and my dad was the big blockbuster guy. I think I've told this story on here before, but it goes to show of you have a different set of memories. It's like core memory stuff attached to it. Anyway, we were walking through. My dad had the PS2 that my mom bought him, trying to save their marriage. It's a really weird story, but so we were at his house for the weekend, and he would take us and he'd let us rent games from Blockbuster while we were at his house. And so one day we were going through, and I was like, "This looks cool. It's got like this Japanese dude, kind of looks like Legend of Dragoon a little bit, but with like Disney characters." So okay, and so we rented Kingdom Hearts. And I got super into it, and I got stuck in the deep jungle area because it's confusing as a kid. And it was time for me to leave my dad's, but I didn't want to give the game up. And so I put the wrong disc back in the case for him to drop off on purpose. And about a week later, I got a call, and he's like, they say that we didn't return the game, but I put the thing in there. What's going on? And I had to come clean that I was essentially trying to steal Kingdom Hearts. I can't remember what game I put in, but I put another game in because I was like, maybe someone won't pay attention. You know, the Blockbuster cases are white. Maybe you wouldn't know what Kingdom Hearts was. You'd open it and see a disc and go, okay. It says PS2.
That's funny. But that was my big takeaway, where I said it to you, but I think I mean it, where it's like I hated the island. Like that opening island, I've made fun. It's kind of like a bit like when I didn't like Witcher or Red Dead. Like I would talk a lot of shit, and I've made fun. I've talked a lot of shit about Kingdom Hearts, but I've tried multiple times over the years to like get into it, and every single time that island ruins the experience for me because it's not fun for me as an adult. But playing it and like experiencing it, I can very much see how I, like, as a kid, when I would imagine the game looks pretty good to a kid in the PS2 era, right? And
I want to go out and say now that game still looks pretty fucking great now. The art style helps. It's timeless. But go ahead.
Sure.
Look, the cutscenes that are fully animated, just throwing it out there, are pretty crazy. They still look really good. Now, the ones where it's just his mouth flapping, but
it's still a PS3 game. My point is that
Kingdom Hearts 2 looks incredible to this day.
Well, I'm not there yet. Maybe now that I've passed that godforsaken island, we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But the biggest thing I can take away from that island is no matter how much that I hated it, I can very much see how, like, as a kid, that island is very nostalgic because it's so cozy and there's stuff to do. And like, but like as an adult, I'm like, no, I'm not going to play fucking kickball or whatever the hell it was with you again. Like, I'm not going to do that. But like as a kid, when you're kind of confused, you're not sure what to do, and you have 8 hours to be stuck on an island and you're not going to notice missing 8 hours, right? I can see it being a place where you're like, oh, I want to spend a lot of time, and like, oh, I really like Kyrie, and I really like I can't remember the guy's name, the guy from Final Fantasy X. Yeah, him. And I really like
where
these
they introduced
characters.
that Titus is actually Titus.
Yeah. Yeah, so they keep saying his name, but I'm not playing him. I'm just playing a character that looks like him. Right? It's weird.
Titus?
I don't. Yeah,
no,
I don't
Titus
understand
is the little boy with the stick.
Oh, I was thinking of the other Titus.
Yeah, so you're
the same
Sora.
Titus. Yeah, I know who I am. I got the big ass Mickey Mouse feet and all that shit. I get it.
No, okay. Look, so that you've played Final Fantasy X.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that little boy with the stick is that is Titus, as everybody called him before that game came in and said, actually, it's supposed to be pronounced Titus this entire time. Just like Kingdom Hearts really got people going on the Aerith versus Eris.
It's Eris.
So
Eris is just a better name. Whatever. Again, I've said it a couple of times, but like, I'm not surprised that people are nostalgic for that island, because the music would make me nostalgic for it if it didn't make me want to hang myself. So
Well, you're touching on something that I do think is important. Like you said, when you have the time, and also your sense of the world is a lot different. Like you kind of know what I'm talking about, right? When you're a kid, things feel bigger than they really are,
mhm.
and that even carries through to something like a video game. I remember when I was a kid, the island felt huge. That island is tiny.
Tiny
In terms of actual game playable space. It is tiny. But as a kid, it feels like an adventure, and it's kind of what the game is talking about, right? Like you're like perspective taking with you're like Sora and Riku and Kai are all wanting to go on an adventure and see the world, and I'm getting to go on an adventure through them. And it's like, oh, what is this island? What is this little hot spring over here? What is this hut? There's a safe spot inside of it. Oh, it goes up to this cool bridge. I can sword fight Riku. Wait, Riku beat my ass. Can I get better and beat Riku's ass? And then you have all of that, and then day 2 comes, and now you get to go to the other part. You get the race with Riku. I think all of that stuff feels a lot cooler when, like you said, you're not as jaded by being an adult who has a time limit. And now that I know how to do it is the other thing. Like you mentioned, part of it is that you're an adult. You're not having as much fun as you want, and the game does not really bother telling you what to do. Exactly. When you know what to do and I replay it, I actually still love that section because I think it's charming, but that's because I can move through it at a reasonable time. When you don't know and you're actually spending 3 hours on the island, it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's horrendous. So and that was the thing for me. It was like, I said it to Sean, and I think it really illustrates it, is like, in games have these moments. A lot of games have like the boring moments, and but and Sean was saying this game has more of this. This game has more sections where it's boring. It's not necessarily the most exciting, and you're searching for stuff and you're not sure what you're doing. And I think the issue that I have with the island that I probably won't have 10 hours down the line when I'm invested is that I don't care about anyone in this game yet. So it's like, why would you do this so early to me? Where it's the same thing with God of War, where Ragnarok, where I fell off that game because I'm like, I don't care about this. I don't care about this character and this character interaction that I'm having. That is, it's boring in a gameplay sense, but I guess interesting in a story sense. But like, I wasn't invested in Ragnarok enough at that point, or I had fallen out of investment anyway by sections like that, to the point where I'm like, I'm good. And then it's the kind of the same thing with Kingdom Hearts, where I'm not a Kingdom Hearts fan until now. I guess I'm starting on that journey of recovery. But so like, to me, starting the game with something that, there's story implications and you get to know these characters, but it's not interesting. So it's a crazy way to start a game. And it's even crazier when you're my age, who's kind of only doing it because I want historical knowledge, and every single person that I care about likes this game. So I'm like, oh, they must not all be wrong. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So it's a hard sell for me, that intro. But like, now I'm just gonna throw a walkthrough on and please pass it if I ever want to play this again, because it's the biggest compliment I could give this game is like, it's not my favorite game of all time. I would be shocked you know what, I'm going to say it right now. If I ever put it on a list, you need to call me out, because that's a bullshit take. There's no shot I should ever put this on a games of my favorite game of all time list. But like, playing it, I was like, I would like to play this with my kid. Like, that was like the most interesting part about it, is like, I would like to give my kid this game. This feels like learning a game to teach a kid more than like playing it for myself. It's like a really weird thing with that game. I don't know how to really articulate it in a way that makes sense. But yeah, I've just been rambling about Kingdom Hearts. Good game. I like it. It's fun.
I'm just glad to hear you kind of have that thing, because I don't even disagree with you. As I've gotten more people to try it as an adult, the island is unironically the first filter for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
And ironically, from a gameplay perspective, because I have friends who really like RPGs, but they really like turn-based RPGs. And they were interested in Kingdom Hearts from a story and like world building standpoint, but less so from a combat standpoint. And the first gameplay filter, I think, really comes when you fight the trickster in Wonderland.
Mm.
And I can get it, because if you struggle with getting the basics down, that's the first one that really pushes your full testing of the, do you understand how jumps work? Do you understand how to position yourself in the battlefield? Do you understand how to get elevation so that you can hit the spots you need to hit? And I think Wonderland as a whole world, I think, is a really good starting point, because it kind of does show that for a kid, Wonderland's kind of hard. It's confusing. You really don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, I remember, let's see, when that game came out, I was 8. So I'm over here like, I don't exactly know what's going on. And I'm trying to get my way through this, and it's confusing, but it's a little more fun because of that, but it's frustrating. But seeing an adult face that, and primarily from a combat standpoint, I was like, I kind of get it. Like, I can't relate because I'm not an adult who struggled with real-time games. But if you're not used to real-time games and you come to this is a lot to take in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even just being aware of where your camera is like a big addition.
I just like, I don't remember if it's, games of yesteryear that all have this problem, but like, I just wish it gave me more of a sense of what it wanted from me. Because like you're saying, Wonderland, I got stuck. And I was like, I figured out the puzzle. I was like, I understand that I need to make offerings to these giant leaves or whatever. Like, I get that I have to do this. And then I got big, and I'm like, okay, so I hit this thing, and I'm doing a bunch of platforming stuff. And then I get here, and I'm like, well, there's nothing here. And it turns out what I was supposed to do is get big and then turn around. And, so, but the game gave me no indication until I turned around. The problem was the game gave the indication of what I was supposed to do when I turned around and already had seen what I was supposed to do. It wasn't like you got big and then that same voice happens where it's like, oh, step on me, or whatever they say, where it's like, oh, okay, I have to step on this. So like, I do think that's like an old game thing, but I even like checking the journal, and I'm like, Jiminy, you're only here to document what I'm supposed to do. Why are you not documenting what I'm supposed to do?
Again, I go through the thing of like, I kind of get what you're saying, but I also think, and I'm not saying that there's a right or a wrong to this, but I think that this game and what it offers, and I think 2 is a lot sharper from a gameplay standpoint in terms of removing friction. 2 feels like the jump between like Oblivion and Skyrim for making like, in terms of the way that you streamline a lot of things, but in streamlining, you make a lot of things simple. The problem I have with 2, and a lot of people love 2 because it's very flashy, its UI is very sensible, and actually you're playing a version of Kingdom Hearts 1 that has already incorporated most of the benefits that Kingdom Hearts 2 brought to the table into Kingdom Hearts 1 without ruining the experience. So like, used to open a chest, you had to move down to the bottom of your command menu and hit X on a button that changed to open. Now you just walk up to it and it shows triangle and you can click it to open it. That's great. In Kingdom Hearts 1, 3D worlds weren't very common in games yet. So guess what they weren't using for camera control? The right analog stick. You know how you move the camera in Kingdom Hearts 1 on PS2? L2, R2.
Oof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you consider all that, like, you're getting a lot of the benefits kind of pushed back into it. But Kingdom Hearts 2 is really simplified because they found a way to remove all the friction. And it's not entirely without merit, but it's a lot easier of a game as a result. And that also carries over into a lot of the puzzle solving. Like I mentioned to you, Kingdom Hearts 2 doesn't have the Trinity. There is no moment of, I might need to go back to this area to do something new that the game kind of foretold me I would expect to see because I saw a Trinity that clearly I wasn't ready for yet. This game trusts that you're going to remember that you've seen these things and you're going to explore to try and find them again in the future when you can do them. And I guess where I'm going at with this is that this feels like the antithesis, bringing up God of War Ragnarok again, this feels like the antithesis in a good way to what God of War Ragnarok had, where I couldn't look at a puzzle for 3 seconds without them trying to shout the answer at me. And this game is instead like, no, fucking figure it the fuck out. Like, you'll get there eventually, enjoy the ride. And both are kind of extreme, and I will admit that. But I guess in the world of extremes, I'd rather have no guidance and feel like I really did discover something than have the game shout the thing at me and take away all sense of discovery to where all I'm doing is mechanically doing what you want me to, which is not fun. It's fun to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing mechanically and then also pull the mechanics off.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think I'm with you. Like, I think I would rather have less direction pointing. I wish there was something. Even an issue I had with Wonderland is I had gotten all the evidence, but I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
there's
it's like before
no
games
indication.
Had there's no UI for you've collected everything. Again, it's relying on you to be curious and check. Not saying that's a good or bad inherently, but I can see why people who are used to modern gaming going back to it go, what the fuck? You know?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like I discovered them all on my own, and it was all interesting, like how I got to all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
My issue is that, again, there's a character who is with me whose only job is to write shit down, and you'd think he would go, okay, I've got the claws and I've got the antenna and I've got, blah, 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 and so on. And so to me, I thought it was crazy where I'm like, I had all 4 pieces of evidence for a while. But again, it's all old game stuff. Like I like it. The story is interesting. I think it's interesting so far. I'm still trying to figure out why one duck talks like that and the other duck is normal. I don't really get that one.
You talking about Huey, Louie, and Dewey?
No, I'm talking about Donald and Daisy.
Daisy,
like why,
yeah.
Daisy talks like fucking
like a
Zelda would. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
and then
true.
Doug is like, I'm a great magic user.
That's a good question for Walt Disney.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, it's nice because
Walt, why does Daisy have a normal voice? I hate the Jews. What?
God, him and Kanye. A little early. But yeah, so I don't know. It's cool. I'm gonna keep playing it. I can't imagine. I don't know if I'm gonna do like Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, and then Kingdom Hearts. What was that?
Kingdom Hearts. Oh, I fucking love it. Kingdom Hearts.
I don't.
Birth by sleep.
Hey.
Kingdom Hearts. You're going to be sleeping with the fishies.
Yeah, because you have to go see the Little Mermaid, and I'm sure Sora sleeps down there.
Holy shit, dude. Look, I want to offer you what I truly think will be your next point that's early enough in game that comes from this is one of the last times that I think the game truly feels dated, and it's I don't think that they could have done much to fix this without just completely redesigning that part of the game. At that point, it's not a remaster, so it's like, what do you do when you get to Deep Jungle? When you get to Deep Jungle, there's going to be a part where you're in Hippo's Lagoon and you're going to go up into the treetops.
Sure, man.
Hear me out, because you're going to get frustrated. I promise you. There was a part where you're going to go into Hippo's Lagoon and you're going to climb up into the trees and you're going to have to swing across vines. It's very Tarzan coded. It's a little finicky. And whenever you miss the vine jump, which you can do, you will fall back down into Hippo's Lagoon and you will fucking, if you mess up enough, you will lose your fucking mind. Get past it and it'll be done. You only have to really do it once before you get other ways around to this thing, but it will frustrate you. And I think that, in my opinion, that is the last time that the game will really, I actually think it's the only part of the game that genuinely feels dated, because I don't think that they knew how to handle platforming to the degree that they wanted to in Kingdom Hearts 1 in a 3D game yet. And I think that they kind of just later realized that platforming would play a less significant role in Kingdom Hearts moving forward. It's part of the reason I love 1 is because it does. 1 is more experimental, including its wanting to be more platform focused. So you won't be done. There's still more platforming to do, but this is the last time that it feels like frustrating from like they didn't have the tools to do this correctly yet. So make it through there, and then I would love to hear that you continue playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to play the game. I think the most likely thing that's going to happen is that I get it because I follow a guide and then just go to Kingdom Hearts 2 because that's the one that seems to be the most interesting. And then I know that 3 is basically a modern game.
2 feels modern. You'll have no problems. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
and
so
from
I think I might
gameplay standpoint, now there's some decisions that they make from a purposeful design standpoint. In a very different way, Kingdom Hearts 2 starts in a different slow way. But I don't think you'll have the same problem. But I'd be curious. We'll talk when you get there.
Yeah, again,
if you get there.
I don't plan on stopping. I don't intend to play, these ridiculous side games. And so I only intend to play the mainline 1, 2, and 3. Like that's all I'm going to do.
All I'll give you just as a point of reference, because it will impact how much you'll enjoy 3, in my opinion. The only games that you 100% I think need the story of, don't necessarily need to play. You can choose to do with that information what you will. Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance are, for all intents and purposes, mainline games that chose not to put a number. The way that I would choose to think of them is, okay, a good example, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker is a mainline Metal Gear Solid game, but it doesn't have a number on it. But it's very important to what happens in 5.
Okay.
And so Birth by Sleep has got very important setup for a number of characters that will pay off in 3, that if you do not play 3, or if you don't play Birth by Sleep, when you see them in 3, you'll be like, what the fuck am I supposed to care for? So again, even if it's just watching cutscenes, Birth by Sleep is a genuinely fun game, in my opinion, and it's included. Here's the thing. All the ones that were actually remastered are the ones that matter. If you'll notice, Recoded was not remastered. 358 Days Over 2 was not remastered. There's a number of side games that they did not remaster because they don't really matter. You can skip, in my opinion, as much as I love the game, you could skip Chain of Memories. I love it, but 2 does a good enough job explaining what Chain of Memories basically set up for you to understand 2. So again, not necessary. The problem is 3 doesn't have enough time to backwards set up 2 games worth of plot for you to understand how they pay off in 3. So if you go into 3 without that, you may like it from a gameplay standpoint. I think at the end, you'll be like, I didn't know half of what the fuck was happening.
Oh, God. I mean, I have 10 of them.
That's what I'm saying. You have all of them. So Birth by Sleep. And here's the thing about Birth by Sleep. Ideally, you play through all 3 character storylines, which takes about 12 to 15 hours per. So that game is actually the longest Kingdom Hearts game at around 40 to 45 hours. But you can play through 1 and watch the cutscenes for the other, or you can just watch cutscenes for them all, because it does the perspective thing. You play the same story 3 times through 3 different characters' perspectives, and sometimes see how they intertwine.
Do I have to play the phone game?
Nope.
Okay, because there's just so many that
the phone game was coded, which they remade for 3DS or for DS called Recoded, but it's still not necessary. They reference something from it in 3, but it's a nod. It's like an Easter egg. If you know, you're like, oh, that's cool, and if you don't, you're like, oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we don't have to talk too much more about Kingdom Hearts, but I'm very excited to see you getting into it and being in a mindset to where you're like, I'm willing to see this out. And I think one of the most promising things for them, Chris, is that all the mainline Kingdom Hearts are roughly, for the average player, I think a good way to view them is 24 hours. You can beat Kingdom Hearts 1 in 24 hours on average. You can beat Kingdom Hearts 2 in 24 hours, Kingdom Hearts 3, 24 hours. They're all very... They're paced in such a way that from a gameplay completing the story standpoint, it's not some Xenoblade or Persona where you're going to be playing for 80 to 100 hours, which is not inherently a bad thing, but it does at least mean that you can see the iteration across 4 titles in the same amount of time as it would take you to play one Persona game, you know?
It's a compelling argument. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, I think Kingdom Hearts is a lot harder to get somebody to come into if there's this many games, this many side games, and every game was 60 hours. That's a hard ask.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I know I'm willing to put in the like 40 for the 3 games or whatever, but the rest of it's a hard sell. But again, if I like one, and then it's what? Then I got to play Birth by Sleep, and then if I like that, then I can play 2. You know.
So the rule I would follow from a gameplay standpoint is I play them in order of release. So if I were you, but with taking the ones out that you don't need. So it would be 1. You can skip Chain of Memories, play 2, play Dream Drop Distance, play Birth by Sleep, then play Dream Drop Distance, then play 3, if you want to play all the ones that matter.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll do that.
Or play 1, play 2, watch Birth by Sleep, watch Dream Drop Distance, play 3. There's some cool shit in Dream Drop Distance that I actually think you'll like from a gameplay standpoint. There's this, I think it's called like, what is it called? Flow or whatever movement, where the movement system in that game is fucking crazy. Like you can just like run up walls and bounce off shit and like ring around like light poles and shit. It's really fun. They bring a somewhat version of it back into 3, but it's, you know, they let each game kind of have their own fun thing. Like in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, you have what's called a command deck, and you can move through attacks, and it's something you'll see in Kingdom Hearts 3. But in that game, you can fuse them together and create combinations that can come up with some pretty crazy shit. But you just have to like guesswork your way around it. It's a really fun system, though.
Oh yeah, I'm in.
All right, Chris. So let's scooch on. We'll update in the Kingdom Hearts world in a bit, but let's scooch on to Death Stranding. So both of us beat it within this 2-week period of our last playing. I just beat it today, arguably, so it's very fresh on the mind. Of course, as we already mentioned, I don't want to talk too much about story, but now that we've both got it kind of behind us, as more of like a general overarching thing, how are you feeling coming off of the game?
I'm pretty good. I think so far it's probably my game of the year. I really loved it. I loved the story. But my prediction was 100% right. Blake got the platinum, so he won the trophy race, and I've not touched the game since.
All of I knew you were basically like, the moment that the trophy carrot is reduced a little bit, I'm out.
Yeah. It's not even that I'm out, it's just I'm not going to rush it, you know? Like,
Sure.
I was going for it, and then I knew Blake was so far ahead of me that I stopped caring, and then, he got it. So I'm like, I'll get this eventually, and then now I'm playing Kingdom Hearts. So I've got 80 hours of children's games to go.
Yeah, and that's
but
Blake is the madman that did the Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 Pro HD Platinum, which is a brutal platinum.
Twice.
He got it twice, yes. So
and this wasn't like an auto pop situation either.
Yeah, so that is if anyone was going to do Death Stranding's particular take on that, then beating Blake was going to have to be a true effort. You had to have been head down aiming to do it. Whereas Blake is not even trying to beat anyone. He's just like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it was funny because like if I'd just been more, direct with what I was doing, I would have been fine because I didn't 5-star anything until after the game was done. So at that point, he'd finished the game and he was like, I've got like 5 to go. And I'm like, have fun, man. Just crown's yours. I'm moving on to the next thing. So I love it, but I think I spent my time with it. I'll definitely finish the platinum one day, but right now I'm moving on.
Yeah, I feel you. I think from my point, one of the things I'm curious to see, it's a weird conversation to have, but I'm curious to see how this is going to impact the way I feel about playing other games. Because sometimes there are games that when you come off of them, it's just like it puts you in a weird thing where it's like, I don't really know how to approach playing something else after this. And I'm not sure that I've hit that. It's so new to me. I haven't had that reflection point, and we had the podcast to do, so I wasn't faced with that. What do I play next immediately? And I don't intend to get the platinum honestly. So I think I'm just done. I think I had my time with the game. I'm not going to go back and deliver anything else. I rolled credits. The way I usually go about it is rolling credits is my finishing of the game. I can continue to play through and get a platinum, but only if I immediately do it, like I did with Days Gone Remastered. But with all that in mind, I also feel like one of the things I was curious about on your side is I really love the story and I know what it was going for, but there's also something to be said about, and I realized it was in the first game too, but I think the first game was newer and a little more novel because it had never been done. Like that particular style of game hadn't been done. But now that it has, I feel like I hit the point of this gameplay loop, if not mainlining the story, if choosing to move in and I'm going to try and get 5 stars and pick up every bit of lost cargo. I got burnt out on that a lot quicker than I thought. Now, it was still 35 hours. That's a long time of gameplay. So I'll throw that out there. But my point being is that I really noticed with this game the very stark contrast between the way it chooses to go about giving out nuggets of story and how it almost feels like a reward for the gameplay, but not necessarily in an ideal way. And I contrast this by the fact that I played a completely different take on an open world game before this, Tainted Grail, where that game, as you're doing the quest, you're getting nuggets of story and lore and cool action moments and all these things. And then you turn the quest in and you just get even more information. And this game's more like, go connect this place, go connect this place, go connect this place, then we'll tell you something that's important. And it's just kind of like, after a while, it starts to be like, I really wish there was a way for the gameplay to allow some of the story to happen as I'm doing it more often than it really was doing. And I'm very curious to see how Death Stranding and its loose adaptation, which apparently is not trying to recreate the first story, but just be a story in that world. What is the movie going to feel like when it doesn't have to contend with being a game? When it doesn't have to go, well, we also want this dude to climb 3 mountains and connect 3 places before he gets to the next place where we're going to tell him story.
I don't know. I think it'll end up being like, I don't know. I think that's the biggest reason to keep that movie away from Sam, because I think it'll be like, I can't spoil it, but there's a whole section of this game that if the movie was that but expanded, I would be like, yeah, that makes complete sense. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, 100%.
So if that was the movie, I'd be like, yeah, okay. And I'm sure that's what it'll be. It'll be a story like that where it's this in-depth thing and it's taking place in this world and this kind of stuff. But like,
and it references all these world things like beaches and BTs and Timefall. Yeah. You have all this referential lore, but you don't have to worry about it being in a game.
Yeah, and I'd be willing to bet when you see that movie, there's not going to be like a BT fight. But I would also not be surprised if we went to the beach and saw them, But I don't think we're going to be like seeing the main character, shooting MP rounds into tar. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I know it would be framed so differently. Like what I really will say is I don't think you're going to see a 15-minute chunk of the movie where it's just a person delivering a package to an artist in the mountain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If he hadn't done it in the first game, I would say the movie is going to be about a person who takes their dead parent to this cremation center. Like that's what I would bet on if I had to bet, but that was in the first game, so
it's hard to say. It's really interesting, but I did kind of face, and it was weird because in one way I appreciated that he was willing to tell a story that had like the level of detail, quality, acting, writing, and forethought in a way that I feel like a lot of the times games like that sway far more towards the cinematic side than the gameplay side. And this game is very much like, no, we're still going to have a lot of gameplay. Whether you find the gameplay to be compelling or not is what is your taste. And I think that it made me really understand why Death Stranding 1 for certain people was such a hard thing to get into. Because if the thing, it's almost like you're talking about with Kingdom Hearts 1 and the beach, the Destiny Islands,
Beach.
where, yeah, if you don't already know that you're into it, the game is not necessarily doing. I'm gonna say this: if you don't already know you're into the story, but the game hasn't got you into its hooks because you don't really care about the delivering aspect of it, then you never get into this thing of willing to deliver to get the next story bit because you just don't like the delivering. But if you can like the delivering enough early on to get started in the connect story bit, story bit, even if you eventually get burned out on the connection, like the main gameplay loop, you'll still be like I'm 100% going to do the main orders to figure out what the hell else is happening. That still drives you. And you'll still find some surprising gameplay fun here and there, even if you're burnt out on the main drive, pick something up, drive back, get off, cross a river, grab this thing, go back to your vehicle. Oh, your vehicle broke down and got struck by lightning. Uh-oh. Move and try. There's fun to be had there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I agree with you. You get the vehicle way too early.
Far too early.
Way too early. But all across the way, I kind of get why Death Stranding is such a divisive game. I still think people are too harsh when they're like, it's just a walking simulator. But if you never see the story, it kind of feels more like a walking simulator. Death Stranding 2 is better because there's more action up front to let you know that there is action in the game. One has action, but it takes a lot longer to ever show it to you. So you're kind of like, is there action here? And so there's a lot of smart things, I think, that make this game easier to hopefully have a gameplay grip for you. And when you're in the action in this game, it feels good. It is very fun, like gunplay.
Mm-hmm. I've always found the walking simulator argument weird with Death Stranding because it is a walking simulator, and I think that's how Kojima would pitch it. Yeah. But it's not. But it's a walking simulator in the way that Lawnmower Simulator is a lawnmower simulator.
Yeah, it's not a walking simulator like Everyone's Gone to the Rapture.
Yeah, or Life is Strange, which is like, it's like the gameplay is walking. That is different than you not doing anything and being told a story. You know?
True. But yeah, it's like, I think, and that's the hard thing. Like, whenever the controller's not in your hand, it's like, what I almost want to do to someone who says that, if they've not played it, is just go to an area where you've got 50 packages on your back and you're struggling and you're like, make your way down that mountain.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a walking simulator, push the stick forward and make your way down that mountain without breaking all that stuff and falling and losing it all, and do it. Yeah. Show me that it's just so easy. And then when the moment they don't realize
Legends rank, okay,
yeah,
do it now.
And then whenever I think that they realize, like, oh, it's still not necessarily what I find compelling, but it's not move the stick forward. That's all. And that's like, don't get me wrong. I think Life is Strange, it deserves to exist. I have no problem with games where you move a stick, move a character around, make a decision. Yeah, that's cool. But I think, like you said, it's very different. You cannot call that. If anything, I think I'd agree. The way I was thinking about it is like, people are loving like Surgery Simulator and Lawnmower Simulator and Power Washer Simulator. Why would there not be a market for a simulator for making walking challenging? Dude, Baby Steps is about to do the same thing.
People
in a more comedic fashion.
Tens of thousands of dollars so that they can sit in a fake truck bed and sit in traffic. And you're trying to tell me that there's not an audience for a UPS. Even if Death Stranding was strictly a UPS simulator,
yeah,
it would still be popular. It wouldn't be Death Stranding 2. But it would still be popular. And
if it was just, there's a non-zero, I'm a delivery guy in a mountain area.
Dude, there's a non-zero chance that UPS Simulator would be a bigger game than Death Stranding 2. And people are talking, like, the second Ludwig starts streaming UPS Simulator, it's fucking over for Death Stranding. You know what I mean? So the pejorative has always been really weird to me because it is a walking simulator in the way that MLB is a baseball simulator, or MLB The Show, I should clarify, is a baseball simulator.
Or a farming
Power Wash
simulator.
is, yeah. Like, because it's like saying that Stardew Valley is a farming simulator in the same way that Farming Simulator 2025 is. And I'm like,
Not
it's
even
not.
a little bit.
And that's like, Life is Strange is to you get what I'm trying to say. I'm not doing that whole fucking puzzle in my head right now. It was too hard. But I don't know. I don't have much more to say about Death Stranding. It's a great game. Well, I know Blake wanted to do a spoiler chat, and I'd love to talk more about it. So maybe there'll be more coming on that, but we'll see.
I wouldn't mind having us all three pull together for a little light spoiler chat.
I'm into it. It'll be a more positive one than the last one we did together, which was Callisto Protocol.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that way we can pull a little bit more content in. I should be able to make time for that soon, and I want to talk about why it's fresh on all of our minds. And because you're right. I mean, like it's really weird to kind of balance, and there's certain story elements that I actually do think work primarily because of the slow-paced nature of the in-betweens. It's not every element. The game totally could work without them from a story perspective, but there's some story moments that are heightened because of the gameplay loop and the do small things, eventually get a reward, major factor of the game. But I am very curious to see what Physant is going to look like and what OD is going to look like. And does he kind of take this same dichotomy nature where it's like you're either playing the game or story is happening? Because that's really most of what Death Stranding is. There's a few moments where it bridges that gap. But 90% of it is you're playing the game, story is happening. They're completely separate parts of a same whole, and every now and then you'll see it kind of make a little bitty bridge. So I'm curious to see if whenever he's trying to do something different with the gameplay, if he's a little more willing to do that. But you think back to something like, Metal Gear Solid 4. And in many ways, I think Metal Gear Solid 4 is the same. It's just you didn't view it that way because the gameplay was more driven. It wasn't about walking and making sure that you're balancing this stuff on your back correctly. So I think this particular thing just shows, I won't call it a weakness, but it just shows the formula a little bit more than some of his other ones have. So I'd be curious to see if he wants to shake that up and really bridge the gap, which is kind of what I feel like Remedy's always trying to do. Like you look at like Alan Wake 2 or even them pushing really far with like Quantum Break or whatever, where it's like, yeah, there is half and half, but even when you're playing the game, you're getting story. Like we're kind of doing both. So
did the only thing I'm curious about, did you notice, and maybe it's just me, but I felt like Tomorrow looked significantly worse than the rest of the characters. Like every other character looked really good, and then there were moments with Tomorrow where I was like, "Oh, this does not look great." Was that just me?
Maybe. I think that Elle Fanning is a very specific face, and I think it didn't maybe doesn't lend itself as well. Also, we didn't mention a whole lot about just how genuinely insane this game can look.
Oh God, yeah.
Character models are still usually the thing that gives games away because it's just like hair is so fine detail. But I'll tell you, the very beginning of the game, when you have that kind of sun draping over these things, I was like, is this live action footage? And then I flicked the analog stick and Sam moved and I was like, oh, this is a game.
Fucking, the beginning when it's like the montage of like the landscapes, I don't know if that was in engine or if that was real.
Well, I'll tell you, it was probably in engine, but my question was, is this pre-rendered where they can push extra power behind it and then just show it to you, or is this real time like the majority of the game is? And I don't know, because there's some times where I was like, dude, that looks crazy.
Dude,
even sometimes with certain characters, but there were a few times with characters where I was like, the hair is looking a little early PS4 right now for some reason.
It's nitpicky, but I will say this is the first game where it made me go, I guess GTA 6 might actually look like that, Yeah.
Like,
and run at 60, I doubt it, but this does.
On Pro, maybe, because I'm going to tell you, that was the other thing I said is playing this on Pro, the 60 frames per second and it looking the way it did, it was so hard for me to not say, like, is this not just legit 4K? because it looks so good and it feels so smooth. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. Now I'm curious. I still have my own reserves on whether or not Grand Theft Auto can look like that on a base PS5 at 60 frames per second. Maybe PS5 Pro, but we'll see. Time will tell. And if nothing else, look, is the reason the game's good because it looks good? Not even a little bit. The game's good because it's fucking nuts, and that's just it goes all sorts of places.
But it is
hard to deny a good looking game. You know, it's just.
I also do think how good it looks does lend to what you're doing, because I think a game with this gameplay of a walking simulator would be a harder sell if it looked like garbage.
I'm with you, because there was times where I was walking with Hannah and I was like, that mountain range that's like in the distance from me is fucking gorgeous. And like, I'm kind of enjoying suffering through trying to climb up this son of a bitch because of how beautiful this view is. And which is weird because that's what I feel like going. Playing this game, I was like, God, I want to go to somewhere with mountains. I've never been. Like, not like that. Like, I have family that lives in the top of like the Ozark Mountains, but we're talking like that's like some fucking mountains. That's like, I was like, I need to go to Colorado or something because I just want to see some crazy shit like this. It's beautiful.
You're going to climb up a mountain?
Probably not, but I mean,
not be nearly prepared enough. And you're just like, oh,
where my
some
blood
garbage
bags
over there. I'm gonna
Actually, that'd be a pretty fun way to make like cleaning up mountains. Like, have people who are like volunteering for Everest, because like Everest is like filled with trash and shit because of people trying to climb it. Yeah, just have people go and be like, "Oh, we're playing Death Stranding in real life. Oh, look, a bottle."
Oh, let me get this 300-year-old corpse down the mountain. Otherwise, it's gonna void out.
That'd be interesting.
BTs are coming up Everest.
Chris, we got a great time to slot in our first question of the episode right here. And it's because of something that you said. What? Yeah, I'll slot it in, Daddy. You said that this is probably in probably your top game of the year, or at least up there in the discussion for that, which leads us to a pretty interesting discussion or a question that makes sense. Because Jehudi MD asked, got to be the obligatory question of top 3 games you've played so far, top 3 games you are looking forward to for the rest of the year, only confirmed releases. This is a really weird part to be in because I feel like, and I'm curious to see where you are, Chris, I've noticed myself drifting further and further from playing new games in the year they're coming out. And I don't feel like it's a conscious decision. Do you feel like it happening to you is something that you consciously made aware? Or do you just think that it's like you play it whenever you get around to the opportunity?
I think I'm at a point where, unless it's something like Death Stranding, and I don't know if there's another game, maybe other than Trails, which is a remake of an old game, that I'm planning on playing right away. Because for me, and it's a bad habit, you're the opposite, but like I tend to just like look at something and be like, I'd be interested in playing that, and then I buy it, and then I end up playing something else and coming back to it 3 years later. So that's kind of where my year is. If you want, I have my entire year of everything I've played in order of rank, so I can do it mine. Because I've been tracking it all year. So I've completed 11 games in 2025, and so far my order is Death Stranding 2 at number 1 of game of the year. Game I've played so far this year of the year. So it would be from 1 to 11. So I don't have to keep saying numbers. Death Stranding 2, Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Lies of P, Metal Gear Solid 2, Oblivion Remake, Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2, Vampire Survivors, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, MLB The Show, Metal Gear Solid 1.
Nice. All right. Well, then, in looking at that, do you think I should go on my games of the year so far before I get to games that I'm excited for
I
this year?
Look up some games.
Get to figure that one out. Yeah. So I pulled mine up because I'm trying to stay a little true to what I know he's really asking, which is, what are the top 3 games that you've played this year that came out this year? And that's not
what he asked.
It's not what he asked, but I do think that it's clear to see that was the spirit of what he's asking. So that's difficult. In that sense, I think that I would have to say One of these is a little difficult to talk about because I'm not finishing it on purpose. So for a lot of it, I really think Tainted Grail, if it sticks Act 3 whenever I go back, whenever they do the update, if it sticks it, I think Tainted Grail is going to be my game of the year. It's very hard for me to consider something beating it out because I think it does all of the things that Death Stranding does well. Now, does it do it to the same degree that Death Stranding does? No, but I think it has really good writing, pretty solid performances, interesting game ideas and story ideas. And then it also has things that I think Death Stranding, I don't think Death Stranding does bad. It just does it in a different way that doesn't land with me as well. I think the way that it goes about feeding you the information of what you're doing is more compelling in the moment. I think exploration's a lot more fun in Tainted Grail because there's a sense of discovery that I don't think Death Stranding really does have. And you could argue on your side like that you view Death Stranding to have that sense, and I wouldn't argue strongly, but for me, I don't have that inherent sense of what could be around that corner because I kind of know that from a real gameplay aspect, all that's going to be around that corner is either things I have to fight or something I can pick up and deliver to someone. That's kind of the basis of the game. And to that end, I got to give Kojima credit. He really does make sure that you kind of traverse the entire open world. He actually might have the most real sense of making the open world useful in the main story so that you travel all of it out of any game I've ever played, but or at least making you feel that way. But I'd say right now, Tainted Grail is number 1. Number 2 is probably going to be Death Stranding 2 at the moment, and because of the fact that I've not played, I don't want to count Oblivion here because I don't really think that's in the spirit of it, even though it could be. I'm going to go with the only other game that I think actually came out this year that I've played this year, and that is Indiana Jones. And I did like Indiana Jones, so I have no problem with it being on there. It's just I know it didn't quite do that. So yeah, I think that's a pretty solid list there. Now on the games for the rest of the year, Chris, you feel like you got a good little...
Yeah, I've got 3 games. If I was going to go with my favorite games that came out this year, it would be Death Stranding 2, Tainted Grail, Clair Obscur.
Yeah, and I think because the question
to one of those. So
yeah, the question he asks is looking forward to for the rest of the year, and I think I'd agree with that. Games I want to get on my list, Clair Obscur is very much on there. I'm just trying to figure out where to slot it because I'm really worried that I'm playing too many dense games back to back to back. Unfortunately, I kind of did Days Gone Remastered into Tainted. Really, I did Oblivion into Days Gone Remastered into Tainted Grail into Death Stranding, and part of that is the problem is that games feel like they all have to be open world these days. I really feel like I need a game that is not open world right now or that is not long. I really want like a 15-hour game, and I'm going to have to do some digging around to figure out what that is. I was really thinking about playing Evil West as like it seems great. It seems exactly like what I'm talking about. It's not open world. It's linear. It knows what it's doing. I was also thinking about revisiting Shadows of the Damned remaster, but I also want to try and play something new, so I want to look at something I've never played before if I can manage that. So we'll see.
So if is that your 3 for the year? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine. It's Clair Obscur, and it's going to be, if it doesn't push back again, Lost Soul Aside, and kind of as a last one, it depends on, well, he says confirmed releases, so actually my last one's going to have to bounce a little bit. That I know is coming out. That's going to be interesting. Probably Ghost of Yotei. I'll give it that, because I mean I loved Ghost of Tsushima, even though I said this other day in the Discord, and I don't really understand why. That's why I was saying that even the choice to play things seems not necessarily like a voluntary choice, just kind of how it's going. I'm excited for Ghost of Yotei because I liked Ghost of Tsushima. There's no reason not to. I love Sucker Punch. I think they're a fantastic developer. But I'm not as excited for Ghost of Yotei as I would have thought. I still haven't even watched the gameplay that they did. I haven't felt compelled to. The state of play that they recently did. I know I'm going to play it, but I'm not like feverishly burning to play it. So I just kind of am okay to just be like, I'll pick it up when it comes out and play it whenever it makes sense with other games I'm playing.
Absolutely.
And that's weird.
It's just, I don't know. I tried to get back into Ghost of Tsushima recently. And I was just like, I just don't, something about it. So
You know what? I'm actually going to adjust. Instead of going Ghost of Yotei, I'm going to go with the one that's actually more exciting to me, Outer Worlds 2, which is unfortunate because it's a bigger open world dense game. But I am actually more excited for the Outer Worlds 2 than I am Ghost of Yotei. I would love to play Ghost of Yotei and be like, oh, never mind, this game fucking slaps, and I should have been more excited for it. But at least in terms of knowing what I'm feeling right now, yeah, it's that. So
cool. So I would go. I would go Mafia of the Old Country. I think would be one on my list. I'm looking forward to that. It would be Trails in the Sky and Mina the Hollower.
Nice.
Those are my three.
Mina does look pretty cool.
I've been waiting so long, dude. I'm a Kickstarter backer. I get that shit for free when it comes out. It's taken so long.
It's not free, but I get your point.
At this point, it's been fucking 4 years. It's free. That money's not real anymore.
You think that's bad? Hold on. Let me go to my email real quick because I can't even think of the name of this game right now. I do know it. I'm just I'm a little brain dead because we've been talking about all this other stuff. There's a game. So I was a Kickstarter for Pray for the Gods, and that game took forever to come. I like that game a lot, though. Kindred Fates. I'm pretty sure I backed this game in like 2018.
Really?
So, yeah, I would have to actually look at when this even started. I'm not even sure that you can. I don't know how you go to that. But, yeah, it's an open world like monster battling game. But it has like it has things that were very novel at the time, but I think Pokemon is slowly catching up to. And I'm like, if you're not careful, Pokemon ZA is pretty much going to have all the mechanics that you were banking on being interesting for you. Oops.
The only other Kickstarter I did was I got these books, the 4-pack of Brandon Sanderson hardcovers.
Oh, that's cool.
So I have all of those. I have them unopened because I bought the hardcovers and the audiobooks. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to open the books. So
yeah. For sure. It's funny seeing how that goes. I wonder if I can actually look at when this was originally posted. I feel like you should be able to, right? I don't know, but yeah, that's the downside to Kickstarter is that, and it's a good thing. I'd rather them take as long as they need to make sure that the thing I backed on Kickstarter is as good as it can be. But waiting for 8 years kind of feels crazy. And what's even worse is right now, the way they have it is Steam and Switch. I don't want to play it on either of those. Now, one of the things was for it to hit PlayStation, so it's supposed to come over eventually, but day one, I won't even get able to play it unless I choose to play it on Switch. So,
that's crazy.
It is what it is.
Very much looking forward to Mina. And Hell Is Us would probably be on my list. I'd probably put that on there.
Hell Is Us
Trails,
looks cool.
Just because I've been talking about Trails forever.
So here's my problem with Hell Is Us. I don't know enough about whether or not it's going to be a story-driven game that I have control of the agency with, or if it's supposed to be something that's like you replay it over and over and over again. It's meant to be like a roguelite that you're not really supposed to be. You're just supposed to play it for a long time. I'm a little less excited about that than I am of a story-driven game. I like those games, but I don't know. They never really hit my most excited list, even when I end up loving them, like a Death Stranding. So take for that what you will. Let's move on into the first news thing, though, Chris. It's, as you put on here, it's a pretty slow news week. So we're going to cover a couple things. And I'm going to add one quietly into right after this one that I think is just funny to put in. So EA has quietly shut down Care/Culture, the Vancouver-based studio it backed in 2021 to develop a more sustainable, people-first approach to game development. The studio had been working on a new Need for Speed title, but sources say the project stalled in early development and was shelved earlier this year. Staff were gradually reassigned or let go, and the studio is now effectively winding down. Care/Culture was pitched as a bold experiment, a response to industry burnout and crunch culture, but in the end, it couldn't deliver. This marks the second time in less than a decade that EA has pulled a Need for Speed project from an internal studio following the 2020 shift away from Ghost Games. The franchise isn't dead, but once again, it's stuck in neutral. And clever, Chris. I like that. Yeah, this sucks because I'm a big Need for Speed fan, and this kind of feels like the place where people who like Forza Horizon are at, where it just feels like it's been longer than ever since a new Forza Horizon has come out, and there's no real word on the next Forza Horizon. Just like
You
there's
mean
no word on
Motorsport
the
or
no Horizon, because like
oh,
Forza
okay.
Horizon 5 just hit PlayStation, but Forza Horizon 5 came out in 2023. 2022 maybe even, and they've not announced a new one. And they, for a while there, they were every 2 years. So
Oh,
we're at the longest point without one. And Need for Speed was the same, right? When Ghost had it, it was Need for Speed 2015, Need for Speed Payback in 17, and then in 19 you had Need for Speed Heat. And then even with the slightly longer wait until you got to Need for Speed Unbound, it wasn't that bad. It was like a 3-year wait. So now we're at this point where if this keeps going, Need for Speed's going to be on ice for the longest time it's been on ice in a while. And that sucks because for a long time, it felt like sports, and as much as I don't really ever think of racing games as sports in the same vein, it is considered a sports games. Those are the type of games that you normally kind of expect to have a quicker turnaround. Like you expect to have a new NBA every year and a new NFL every year and a new Need for Speed every 2 years. Like that seems like a reasonable development time, and we're getting further and further away from that. And that kind of is unfortunate because there's not something coming in to fill that niche, at least right now. So that sucks. But also, there is a sweet irony to trying to make a developer to fight the problem in games development and resolving on the same basic problem that game development is going through right now, which is layoffs after layoffs after layoffs. What do you look? This comes after the 9,000 layoffs at Microsoft, and this is a soft kind of segue into the other thing where I thought it was interesting. Did you see that Microsoft is trying to hire people for its graphics department?
Mm-hmm.
And they got shit because the thing that they used to hire for their graphics department, which is kind of funny in hindsight, if you're needing people for your graphics department and you use AI art, that might be showing like how badly you need them. Like, look, man, we had to use AI. Come work for us. But also, what a crazy fucking world to live in where you go, we just fired over 9,000 people. Fucking meme world over there. It's over 9,000. We just fired more than 9,000 people, but come work for us. It has got to be such a weird time to want to even be hired in the industry because it may feel like, oh, thank God I have a job for now. I wonder if anybody really in the industry feels like they're on solid ground at the moment.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I don't know.
Well, I think the thing that really got me when I started really looking into the Microsoft layoffs, Call of Duty studios. Call of Duty is more popular than it's ever been, bringing in more money than it's ever been. And they're firing and laying off large swaths of people from not only the main developers, but also like Raven and Sledgehammer and all these other people that they kind of moved into the fold. If you can't work on Call of Duty and feel like you have a relatively, like if you can't work on it in a capacity where you're not meant to be a temp worker and you can't feel confident that you're going to have that job for barring you fucking up or moving on your own, you know? Like if you can't feel confident in that job, where the
That
fuck
should be the
can
most
you?
secure games job of all time.
Yeah, if you're a permanent hire on a Call of Duty studio, you should fucking be set.
Mm-hmm.
And
like, I'm
there's
just gonna
a weird
design AR-15s forever. That's just my life.
Yeah, I'll 3D model Snoop Dogg and put a weed charm on this gun. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that we need people to work to make these games in order for us to enjoy them. Like, you know, we on the hobby side need people to want to feel motivated to do the creation side of it. And I mean, we're going to have a little bit of that on our side if we ever, you know, we were kind of talking before we started recording about what would it look like trying to move our card game to something that could start to approach a releasable product if we got to that point. And yeah, you kind of have to have that, like, oh, you have to have people that want to work on this and want to do this. And that exists in gaming side, right? Like for me to enjoy Magic with the boys, I have to have people who want to work at Wizards of the Coast and want to develop cards and do something fun. And if morale gets that low in a place like gaming, then it's very real that this is a weird tangent, but I almost feel like, have you heard the arguments about like you can move to a 4-day work week and technically have more productive people so you get the same amount of work done in 4 days? So you should give people a day off because they're just, the morale being better makes them more efficient at their job because they're less stressed. And then you have that flip side of all the bosses are going to see is that you could have done the same amount of work you were doing in 5 days in 4 days. Now you just have a new day to do more shit. like you have a 5th day now to do even more shit. Just do the shit that you could do, and since you're being as productive. But that's against the whole point of what it is. They're saying like when you have more free time to live your life outside of work, you're more okay with being like you're able to be more productive at your job and more efficient. But I don't know. It's kind of weird that in a whole studio aimed towards trying to fight these things, you actually see the reverse happen. And a lot of the times, the studios that are known for crunch culture, like the Naughty Dogs and like the GTAs, are the games that everyone goes, this is a marvel of creation, not only technically, but story driven and character writing and all these things. And I know we've had that discussion before, but doesn't it feel weird that the team trying to not do that can't succeed, and the team that just kind of does it seemingly because the culture is people who care this much always put out the best product?
Well, I feel like that's just kind of obvious shit, right? Like, I don't believe that crunch is a good thing, right? To be clear, like, I don't think you should be forcing someone to work 80 hours a week to get your video game done. But if you work at a team with a team of people who want to spend 80 hours a week or 60 hours a week, or, you know, they're going to take home their laptop so they can finish what they're doing on the couch in their sweats, right? Like, if you have people like that, then obviously you're going to have a better project at the end of the day than, you know, a bunch of people who it's like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. My day's over, you know, like, the person who wants to go home and, you know, work, or the person who is willing to stay there for that long to see the project go through, it's just more passion. That doesn't mean it's right. But it's like, you know,
and conversely, it doesn't mean it's wrong that they want to work on it more.
No, you know, it's like there are people in companies I've worked for, and even in my company, who's like, they work a strict 55-hour week, and that's what they're supposed to do, and that's what they're going to do. But like, my staff makes fun of me because sometimes I'll be, you know, today was my day off and I was at the store, and they're all like, why? You don't need to be here. And I'm like, yeah, but it's my job to make sure that everything's okay. You know, I have that passion to see the restaurant improve, so that I'm there on my day off just to make sure everything's okay before I go home. It's that same, it's, you know, the level of passion.
Well, and with that in particular, I've worked food service, and one of the things I was thinking before you even brought up the fact that you're in a restaurant, right, and that field is like, you can take the same thing that we're talking about and move it to a different industry, and I think you'll still see the same results. I think it's really a people thing, and the point being is like, you can have a restaurant that has 10 people that work at it, and these 10 people always want to be going home at 10 o'clock every night, no matter what. And then you can have a restaurant with people who go, I'll go home once everything that needs to be done and clean. Like, you know, when we're doing wrap-up work after we close for new, you know, we won't take any more business in, but we're still open so that we can do the things we need to do. If you have someone who goes, I'm not leaving until everything, like, I'm not leaving until this place is clean, or I'm not leaving until the kitchen's set up for someone to come in tomorrow and not have to work in order to set up. People who have the passion to go, no, I want the restaurant to be clean because I care. This is my livelihood and I want to take pride in it. If you have people that are leaving at 10 o'clock, regardless of what is or isn't done, and you have someone that leaves at 10:20, but the whole place is clean, you're going to get a cleaner restaurant from people who just stay until it's done, regardless of how long it took them. It's just the nature of people. Mm-hmm. And you're going to see that same thing. If you work more hours because you chose to do so, because it's a good example at a restaurant, there's not usually anyone besides whoever the closing manager is who's pushing you to go. You can kind of just be like, you know, we need to get this done. So there are people that may be like, well, I want to get out of here by 10 because that's just what I signed up for. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, you're going to have a probably cleaner, more effective, better restaurant from people who just take more passion and don't worry about staying for 15 minutes to get something done. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I've always said as a manager, like, you know, obviously I have labor targets and all this kind of stuff that I'm supposed to be hitting. But like, if I walk into a perfectly clean restaurant and you've done extra work and you were there an extra hour and a half, I'm not going to yell at you, you know. But if you leave at 9:55 and we close at 10 and nothing's stocked and your station looks like shit, then I'm going to yell at you. You know, it's the same stuff. But either way, I don't have much to say about this. This was in the news for you, so.
Yeah, you know I'd be sad at the Need for Speed loss.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? It's a great time to slot in our next question. Oh, boy. Our next question comes from Mr. Spring Blakers. With Brett being confirmed clinically insane and being forced into an insane asylum for 10 years, all of this after saying that Need for Speed Carbon is better than Most Wanted. Chris, who will be taking his place in the podcast?
You know, we will be holding auditions. There's no one there yet. Maybe try and see if I can get someone out of retirement. Maybe steal, like, you know, maybe I could work something out with like a fucking Greg Miller or Colin Moriarty and be like, listen, you got to be my second. You know, it's okay. But no, we'll podcast from the insane asylum. That sounds more fun than anything else.
Yeah. What games are you playing in the insane asylum? The ones I'm coming up with in my head. Look, I just want to say on here, Need for Speed Carbon is a fantastic game, and I have long said this, and I will not be called crazy. But you know what? I'm going to hurt Blake's feelings. Need for Speed is a better franchise than Forza Horizon. There we have it.
I don't think any racing game is good. What's the next piece of news?
Okay, next piece of news is about The Last of Us 2. And this is such a weird update, but I'm down for it. And I think if you ever listen to our spoiler chats that we did on it, I think you know that Chris and I are both into the idea, but it feels so crazy for this to have come this far down the line. So Naughty Dog has released a surprise free update for The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered that introduces a brand new chronological mode, letting players experience Ellie and Abby's intertwined journeys in strict timeline order instead of the original nonlinear structure. With its flashbacks and perspective shifts, the studio says this option offers, quote, deeper insight into character motivations and narrative parallels, and recommends it primarily for returning players, while newcomers should start with the intended narrative structure. Completing the mode also unlocks 2 Uncharted-inspired skins for Joel and Tommy, which make them Nathan and Sam, respectively, and new trophies usable in the roguelike No Return mode. Additionally, the patch brings performance enhancements and bug fixes for both PS5 and PC editions of the game. So, Chris, we long talked about the linchpin moment in The Last of Us 2. And I've long had the argument that I understand why it was there. And I think that narratively, it's the right call. But when coupling it with the fact that a game has to take place and expand this continued pacing in a different way, that it was a bold move. I don't regret it. I still think that the original version of the game is incredible and I love it, but I've always thought that this was a great way to recontextualize the game, and I always kind of hoped that this would come with a remastered version of the game. I'm glad that we got it down the line. But first and foremost, do you feel like there's a specific use case for this? Do you feel like this is kind of a little side project to keep certain parts of Naughty Dog and the Last of Us brand and Naughty Dog as a studio name kind of kicking while they work on Heretic, and also still riding the success of The Last of Us 2 Season 2, or The Last of Us Season 2? Or do you think that this was something they always wanted to do?
I think I had read or heard that this was something they had talked about doing. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. There's not a ton for me to say about it, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know if the game is designed in a way. that would make this fun, but I don't know. We'll see. Seems like a lot of empty game at the start, you know.
Maybe actually, that's a fair point. And there's questions I have of like, in order to pull this off, there's almost no way that this is strict chronological, right? Because there's things that's like, if we're talking strictly chronological, there's cutscenes that strictly chronological don't matter until a flashback. And I can't say what they are right now, but there are things that matter in context to what a certain number of characters are talking about that only impact kind of that scene and their relationship, but they don't play into any bigger role of what's happening in the actual main story. So I feel like it would be weird to pluck them from being flashbacks in a more brief look back while we're having a new conversation, because they're almost they're out of pocket in a way where you'll forget that they even happened by the time that the thing that they're trying to build toward happens again in chronological order. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's an odd choice, and I think it works if you design the story for this, and therefore there are scenes you don't include because you're not trying to play the game with this flashback mentality. So there's that, and then there's also the final it's not the final cutscene, but it's the final flashback, and I think it's a pretty wild choice. Again, depending on what they mean by strictly chronological. If you have the final flashback at the beginning of the game, that's a bold choice, because I think a lot of the game rests on the fact that you as the player don't know how things are between these two people. So
true. I don't know. I would like to try it, but I won't. I just don't have the time. But like, it sounds cool because it's what I wanted. But like, despite they're clearly, I think the doing it this way with no adjustments, this is all assuming they don't change anything. It seems kind of like too much tutorializing, because like one of the issues I have with the game, and I don't think this is a spoiler. If it is, Brett, you should maybe edit it. But there's 2 tutorials in the game, 30 hours apart, for kind of the same shit. And that annoyed me. But I'm going to be willing to bet 2 pretty decently sized tutorials back to back is going to annoy me just as much.
And that's the thing, is like, it's different if they took the tutorials. Like, that's kind of what I mean. Is like, if they've adjusted sections out because of knowing that you're slamming some of these things together, I think there's full cutscenes you can remove, and there's full gameplay tutorial moments that you can remove because you're kind of merging these into one. I think that's what I would do if I were doing this. I would take both of these tutorials and merge them into one that you kind of bounce between to where it feels like a traditional tutorial. But you're right. If all you do is keep the exact gameplay sections but just slam them next to each other, what the fuck?
It's weird. It's a weird move.
It's too much.
I don't know. I think, when we finally get the, Abby and Ellie team up for The Last of Us 3, I'll probably play this. But like, as of today, it just doesn't seem like something I'm going to try. So
I'll tell you, I'm very interested in trying it, and I've been wanting to replay The Last of Us 2 just because I still stand on the ground that I think it was a bold choice of a game, and I think it's a great game. I think it's a great game. I think it's a great game with, I don't want to call them caveats, but there's context around them. I think 1 is a great game for more simplistic reasons, and not in a bad way, in a confident it knows what it's trying to do. And so, you look at this and it's like, well, there's bolder choices in this, but that also carries bigger consequences when those don't pay off exactly as you intended. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, fuck yeah, it's cool that you decided to take a big risk, and I like seeing that shit. And I mean, I think that's true of Kojima as well. When I'm playing games like Death Stranding 2 and he's doing a few things, I'm like, hoo, this is weird, but good on you for just being like, we're going to fucking do it. people might be like, what the fuck's happening? What is this? This is weird, but we're going to do it all the same. And I think that's a good thing to do. So, yeah, one of these days I'll go back to it. I'll tell you what I don't have any interest in personally. I have no interest in the no return mode. I don't care. It's cool that it's there for people who do, but I just don't care. I don't have any, like, that's not what I want to play The Last of Us for. It probably is good. I'm not even questioning that. I mean, the original Factions was incredible. Still not what I play The Last of Us for, but it's great. So
you're right. It's great.
Hey, Chris. Hey, fuck you. So on that, we actually have another little piece of news for Neil Druckman, but I want to slot in a question because I don't want to immediately go into talking about Neil Druckman.
God, he's Chris, slotting so many things in.
I'm telling you, man, this is actually a great question for you too. This comes from one of our longtime listeners, Mr. Roxas. He's part of our trophy competition, and this is a trophy-based question. He goes, "My wife never misses an opportunity to remind me that I wanted to get her the Little Big Planet Platinum. Sadly, the server shut down. Jenny, I love you. Winky face. My question to you, do you have platinums that are not achievable anymore? I think I have Little Big Planet, Brutal Legend, and I could get the Overlord's 2 plat. Overlord. Oh, shit. Can you still get the platinum for Overlord 2? I think he's talking about the Codemaster games. That's That's awesome. I love Overlord 1, and I bought Overlord 2 to play it because I love the demo, and I've never played Overlord 2 for real because Overlord 1 took me a long time to beat, and I only played it because I played the demo for 2 and thought this series seems really cool. I'll go back and play it. Chris, I know that I have a few, and I know that you and I worked on one that you sadly missed out on, but do you have any on your current account that you cannot get anymore? And do you have any that you had on your original account that got banned or whatever it was that you lost that fell under this?
I'm looking through, and I think the closest thing I have to that is that I have the online trophies for Uncharted 3. So I could platinum that on PS3, but I don't have that platinum. So, and I might be making that up. I don't actually know, but I'm pretty sure I do. So that's one that I could get. I think on the old account, Bad Company 2.
Oh, yeah. Bad Company 2. That's a fun platinum, too. I don't have it, but I helped a friend do it before it was in that lull between caring about trophies and not. Like, I got the platinum for Resistant or for Infamous 1 and then the 3 Sly Cooper remasters on PS3. And then I stopped getting them for years because I just wasn't worried about it. But I had a friend who was like, dude, I really want to do this. So we'd go to his house and take turns doing shit. And Bad Company 2 is a great game, first and foremost, but it's also a very fun platinum.
Wow, I was I was looking up my old PSN profile and I found a giant bomb profile with the same name from 15 years ago. And it's about me trying to get God of War 3's platinum on PS3.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I have another one that I didn't even realize.
Oh, what is it?
It looks like, okay, I think, speaking of Overlord, as ironic as that is, I don't think you can get the Overlord Fellowship of Evil Platinum anymore.
Oh, shit.
And that is a okay game. I didn't mind playing it. Actually, it was kind of fun to platinum. We'll see. It looks like I got the trophy in 2020, and the thing I'm looking at that said you couldn't get it anymore was from 2019, so that might just be off. Is there a way on True Trophy, since that's just what I happen to be on, where you can click a trophy and see who's recently earned it?
I'm not sure.
Me either. Huh. Gamers with this
trophies from MLB 10, the show on this account. Holy fuck.
Recent winners, 9th of July. So you can still get them for this one. So it's still obtainable. So my two that are not obtainable is Killzone Mercenary on the Vita and Mod Nation Racers Road Trip. Both of these Vita games that I had to completely slug out right before the the servers closed for all the multiplayer trophies. Fun time though too. I don't really mind that at all. I really enjoyed that. There's probably a few other on here if I really went through and looked. The thing that gets weird with these is like some games are online focused enough to have trophies for them, but not so much that you ever think of them like that. Like you think of games like Mod Nation Racers and Little Big Planet and whatnot because they're, or even like a Killzone, because you know that they're like games that had big multiplayer components. But there's a few games that have multiplayer components that were never really talked about or cared about, but you don't realize the servers are shut down for them. Like I don't have the platinum for Dead Space 2, but I'm pretty sure Dead Space 2's PS3 servers are closed. And I wouldn't be surprised if that means you can't get that platinum anymore.
BioShock 2 is a good example.
Oh, yeah, multiplayer. Jesus.
PS3 is unattainable.
Yeah, you go through some of these, it's like, I don't know which ones of these may not be obtainable anymore. Like, I feel like most of them probably still are. Like, I've got Minecraft on PlayStation Vita Platinum. I'm pretty sure you can still get that one.
Yeah, it's just old Minecraft.
Yeah, it's like, I think most of these that I'm looking at, I don't see any reason. Now, this is just my best game, so like my most rare ones. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to get them, I should say. So it's like one of these days, the forest will join that when you probably can't do. Well, I don't know. I actually think you can do the forest on your own. I don't think that one remains to be seen. I think there is something you have to do together. Terraria may, but I don't know. That's another game where if you just it's easier to do multiplayer, but if you just sit and grind it out, I think you can still do it.
Yeah, probably.
So, Anthem. Anthem's about to hit that. I've got the platinum for Anthem, and as
think I can pull it off.
It's not going to work. Absolutely, I believe you can. Here's the thing: I've already thrown it out there. I have Anthem downloaded and installed. I'm going to play a little bit before it closes because I think Anthem's a genuinely fun game, and I will be happy to hop in and do a few rounds for the fun with anybody that wants to play.
You gonna help me get that platinum?
Go for it, man. I'll help you.
Okay.
Holler at your boy. The thing that's going to take you the longest is collecting all the lore that are around the map, because they're random respawns and they're not always there when you go through. It's really weird. I don't know how that system works or how it was designed, but that's the last thing I had to get. It took me forever.
Oh, all right. Bet.
So if you want to, again, if you don't think Anthem's fun, I don't know that you should. I got the platinum because I think Anthem's fun.
I didn't really play it.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think we could get all the... I don't see any reason why we couldn't. We'd have to beat the game again, but it's pretty fun.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Holler at your boy if you need the help. So, yeah, I have a few that I know for sure, but it's only those two. And there's a few... I always look when there's a game that I loved that I never got the platinum in, and then I noticed that. Like, I think right now, Resistance Burning Skies is... I don't love that game, by the way. It's fine. But I think you can still get the trophy in it. Chris, did we ever get it for you?
No, we still need to. So
holler at your boy. You got the Vita now. You can do it.
Yeah,
we can knock it out. That way you can add it to your trophy list one of these days when you're feeling a weird, like, I want to play a shooter on the Vita. Which the best shooter to play on Vita is the one that you can't get the platinum in anymore, unfortunately. So
I know. Unit 13, great game.
Actually, can you not get the trophy in it anymore?
No, you can though, but
look at that. See, look, this is a fun thing where I wish more games would do this, and not everyone does. I wish more games would have online server systems that just move to being peer-to-peer, to where they don't have to keep the servers up on their side anymore, but they just scooch the game over to doing things as if you, as the person hosting the game, were the server.
Well, go play... Damn, I forgot the game immediately. Never mind. Sorry.
Go play, go fuck yourself, because I don't remember.
Yep, completely gone.
Yeah, I love that question though, because if platinums mean anything, having platinums that no one else can get now feels like the real, like, what up, bitch? Mm-hmm. You know, in the grand sense of what a trophy should represent, like if you really think of what a trophy is you getting something for a specific moment in time. Normally, like a real trophy is because like you won the 1997 kickboxing championship or something. You know what I mean? And so when you get a trophy, but then someone else is like, cool, I just got the same trophy. It kind of is like, oh, I mean, it's still cool, but it's not as cool as it could have been. Right. But like, if you get a trophy and then no one else can get it after. It's like, I did that shit. Look at that. That it really does mean something. Look at that. You see that? Killzone Mercenary.
That's why I have like, I don't mind multiplayer trophies and stuff, because I do think like that Killzone 2 being the 1% of the leaderboard is crazy. And if you have that one, hats off.
Yeah, that's sick. It's really cool. It frustrates me sometimes when I love a game. It frustrates me more when it's a game that has a very short-lived online cycle, to where it feels like within reason no one could have reasonably done it. Actually, a great example of that, even though I still think it plays towards what you like, is Concord. People who have Concord's Platinum is fucking crazy. And I know that there are a few people that have it. But that one sucks because
I'm so jealous.
No one had like even in a reasonable amount of time to do it. Where I think it's more reasonable if it's like, dude, the game's been out for 10 years and they're finally shutting the servers. Like, it sucks that you can't get them anymore, but like you had 10 years to do it. Whereas Concord was like, you had a week and a half. Figure it the fuck out.
Well, and the crazy part is people started going for it after the announcement, so they didn't even have a week and a half.
You're right.
A couple days most.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and that was kind of the thing of watching. I think you remember because me and you were both doing it. Watching the Killzone Mercenary servers. Here's the thing: they were doing all right. They were people to play with. Multiplayer was actually really fucking fun. I was having a good time doing it. It's just that you needed so much time in it that there was no way you would have been awake for 72 hours playing Killzone Mercenary.
Yeah, you couldn't do it for real.
And so, yeah, a couple of my hours towards getting that are just my Vita being on with a rubber band on the analog stick, pulling it to make sure that I don't get kicked out while the games just keep matchmaking and going through. But there was something to be said. The last 3 days, you could get on and immediately find full matches. And it is cool to kind of be like, this is what the game felt like in the glory days. Like, this is what it felt like at launch. It was just a bunch of people hopping on, ready to have a good time. And I don't know, there's a magic to that. Like, it's, the people who logged on to Halo 3's original servers before they shut them down so they could just kind of hang out in the world. That's cool. It's like, I just wanted to be there when the servers shut down. I don't know. It's, it feels slightly romantic. in the weirdest way that you can say that. So there's that. The last piece of news we have before we go into our final questions is Neil Druckman is stepping away from HBO's The Last of Us series to focus entirely on game development at Naughty Dog. With production on season 2 wrapped and season 3 just greenlit, Druckman says it's the right time to shift his attention back to the studio full time. He won't be writing or directing episodes going forward, leaving Craig Mazin to carry the show solo. Druckman called his time co-creating the series a career highlight, but says his focus now is on leading Naughty Dog and directing his next game, a sci-fi project that's already been deep in development, as you may know, Intergalactic, the Heretic Anthem. But the Heretic Prophet? There we go. As I go back, bad name.
Hold on. I can't hear you. My audio is all fucked up. 1 second. I'm fixing it.
Uh-oh. As you guys I can't remember if I edited it out, but Chris last week could only hear me if he had a YouTube video on turned down.
There's a YouTube video turned down right now, yeah.
Oh, man.
And I clicked off it by accident.
I was just saying that Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, is a bad name because it's hard to remember.
It's a rough name, yeah.
I called it like 4 different things before I landed on what it actually is, and that's not a good sign. Maybe it'll be a little bit better once I've played it and I have more to anchor onto, but Uncharted is infinitely easier to remember even after just being teased it than Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. So, Chris, we got a couple of questions. We're going to round the show off, man. And the first one is going to come to us. Never mind. I'm sorry. We slotted all those in. We have one more to end the show. And Chris, it's special. It's very special.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody right now that you better get made up, look pretty, get your makeup on, because it's about time for
Velvet's Corner. He still didn't finish the fucking song.
It'll forever be done. Edging, just like me.
It just needs one more note. All right.
So
this is fun. Let's do it.
With that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody we're not going to get into like deep Death Stranding 2 spoilers here, but just in case you're one of those people who are worried about learning very small details about certain characters, I don't think that these are huge things, but on the off chance, we give you 5 seconds to bounce out and return and listen at your own leisure if you choose to do so, if you're interested in Death Stranding 2.
It's the end of the show, I assume, anyway, so.
Yeah, there you have it. So Velvet Thunder comes back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. He says, would you, Brett, rather have Hartman's affliction, but you don't have his new exosuit, or be Dahlman for 8 hours a day, but you have to be attached to Chris's waist while he goes to work? And then the same question with the roles reversed for you, Chris. Ooh. So, would you like to start this one?
No, it's all you, brother.
Fair enough. So here's the thing. I think if we're gonna try and say which one of these is better, there's aspects of having every 21 minutes having to just die for 3 minutes that would be super annoying. Most of them is probably the game talks a lot about how this is straining on his heart. Shit's gotta hurt eventually, right?
Yeah, you'd think.
But from a sheer if we take the pain aspect away and we just look at the 21-minute aspect, regardless of the exosuit, as long as I had his thing where you knew it was coming and it was 3, 2, 1, and you have his little bed, considering what he has, I'd be okay with that. I just as long as I tell everybody I know, hey, every 21 minutes I die for 3 minutes. So I'm always going to have a chair around, and I'm going to need somewhere. If there's not a chair around, I may lay down on the ground so I don't just collapse down. But it'll all be in time with what I know is coming. That part of it is fine. There's times it'd be annoying. Look, let's just be real. You can't have sex for more than 21 minutes without dying in the middle of it, which is definitely a mood killer.
That's not what When you first said it, I thought you were going to be you can't have sex for 21 minutes, and that was where it was going to end.
No, basically,
it's not possible.
Yeah, the moment you hit that 21-minute mark, you're gonna
die or lift off. It's one of the two.
Here's the thing, though, right? If we're gonna be in that moment, can we actually talk about what is the feeling of ejaculating as soon as you're dying? What does that feel like? And could that become a really fucked up thing where you start getting addicted to that feeling and you start trying to have sex and time your climax exactly to die?
You're staring at a stopwatch. You're like, faster.
If I'm not feeling this by 20 minutes and 53 seconds, I'm not going to finish in time.
I feel like that would actually be kind of horrible.
Yeah. Do you think what do you mean the feeling of that while you're leaving your body, or what?
No, but I feel like just the time pressure would just ruin it.
You'd never be able to finish because you'd just be stressed.
Yeah, exactly. You're having a good time, you're almost there, and then you feel it coming on, and then it's oh, we got to hurry up. So then you start concentrating on finishing, so you never finish. It's
That's true, but I'm kind of thinking of a Bob Ross happy accident thing where you're doing it in your middle and you're look, we're just going to see what happens. And you're if I die in the middle of this before we finish, I'm sorry, but you're with me. You have to understand. I'll catch you on the flip side. When I'm back after that 3 minutes, we can whip the toy out. Don't worry.
Well,
but point being is one time you just happen to be finishing right when you're about to die because you're kind of riding that I don't want to give it up, and then you're well, that was an amazing experience. It's how they your soul is leaving your body. Sometimes they use that joke, but in this case it's true. Is it doubled down? Do you feel your soul leaving your body because you died, but also doubled up because you just busted, or what?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I think the problem is I don't know how this is a weird conversation, I guess, but wouldn't you not be able to have sex in that position because when you died, you'd end up getting harder, and then you might hurt your partner, so then you couldn't actually finish as you're dying?
Well, what do you mean that you get harder? This is what I'm trying to understand. Are you talking like rigor mortis?
Yeah.
Rigor
That shit
mortis
go
doesn't
bong?
set in within 3 minutes, Chris.
I haven't died. I don't know.
Excuse me for never dying.
I am living and breathing as of today. So,
well, Chris, as somebody who worked in a hospital for about 3 years and had to transport dead bodies often, rigor mortis takes a while to set in.
heard.
Yeah. Rigor mortis is usually whenever you die with no one around and it's been some hours and they find you and it's starting to set in and you're harder to move because the blood flow has stopped and your muscles have less moving through them, so they start to stiffen up. Now, to your point,
I kind of wish it wasn't the case, because then you could be like a kickstand. Just
then you could try and get hard. You say, "There's not a chair around. Hold on, let me get the kickstand."
Do you think if you died right as you were about to finish, but not as you finished, you would wake up finishing?
Oh, that would be weird. the
Like you edge for 3 minutes and you just wake up with just blasting off everywhere.
Like you know what I love is that this is a good. I didn't intend for it to originally go here, but this feels in the spirit of the first Velvet's Corner where we were talking about crusty cum getting in a dude's eye. So, in a way, this feels like a thematic return to Velvet's Corner. So, let's look at the flip side, right? Let's move away from Hartman's affliction side of it, and then let's look at the weird parts of being a doll. So here's the thing: you can't move on your own. Like you can't, at least as far as the game portrays it, he can't locomote on his own because he's not rigid enough to do so. He can move his arms and legs, but they can't support his weight for him to do what he wants. So Chris, we go back to the same thing. You can't have sex.
So I think.
Well, I guess as the entire doll, you could just be used as a toy, double entendre.
Yeah, but that's a rapey conversation. You know? I think the answer is you would want to be Hartman, and I would want to be Dollman. I think that's the thing here.
Okay, give me the quick sell. Why? It's not like we had to be one or the other. I think it was just which one would you rather be with the roles reversed. Like on my side, would I rather be Hartman or Dahlman? On your side, would you rather be Hartman or Dahlman if you had to be on my waist for 8 hours versus the other?
Yeah, and I understand the question, which is why you would want to be Hartman and I could be Dahlman. I don't. Okay, it's not that we're choosing.
Sell me on why you want to be Dahlman, because I'm curious at this point.
Look, this is not meant to be disparaging. I don't know what your job is, but I imagine a lot of your job is sitting at a desk.
I mean, enough of it that I'd say that more often than not, that's what you should expect. Yes,
sitting at your desk or sitting in a car going somewhere.
Yeah,
you know, whatever. My job is standing in a 110-degree kitchen, moving around at high speeds and slamming my body into the walls because I'm moving at a high speed. So you as Dollman would be in a much more dangerous situation than me as Dollman, where the biggest risk I have is that you've been sitting so long and you adjusted and now my face is accidentally on your penis for an hour. Like, yeah, that's my.
At least I'm in the air conditioning and my penis is clean. See, because it's funny you bring that up, because one of my first things when I was thinking about me being Dollman and having to be in your waist is that you're in a kitchen, and kitchens are usually a little tight to some degree, and that means that at some point I'm essentially, you're an average height person. You're a little tall, but point being is if I'm at your waist, I'm very close to a lot of sweaty asses in a hot kitchen. What are the chances I catch some stray smells? You know what I mean?
Now the only
but as a doll, can Dollman smell? This is a really important question. I don't know.
We're not talking about it. I'm not getting yelled at in the fucking Spotify comments or whatever. The only advantage that you would have as Dollman is because now I'm not a chef anymore. I'm out in the front of the house more often. That doesn't prevent me from sweating and you being around gross butts, I guess. But the advantage that you have is that you get to walk around and see the customers. Now, there's always a MILF or two in the building. There's always a group of hotties. Like you get that, but I don't know if that's worth the trade-off of, hey, Chris, the pilot lights out. So then I have to get down, and your tiny little doll feet are going to be sitting in fucking old fries and grease, in the middle of dinner service. So
yeah.
I feel like you got to go with Hartman, but my waist could be worse, I guess.
Yeah, and on the flip side, on your side, right? Like I have a lot of, I mean, if we're talking about the shorties and the baddies,
Oh,
I got some options there. There's some gilfs.
I mean, I'm into that.
But yeah, but point being is that it's like you have comfort with mine, and you get to move around enough. Like the reason I like my job these days, as opposed to what I used to do, where I really was at the computer almost the whole day, is I get to move around, right? Like I can go out and like go to a different customer, and it's a different problem I'm solving and a different need for what they have, and it's just more creative to a degree as well. Like I go into an area and measure the space and then start figuring out what's the best way to utilize the space with office furniture. How do I solve specific problems for certain things they want? I get to do some design work because weirdly enough, most companies don't do it the way we do, but I do the design aspect too if they want me to. So I help choose like fabrics and colors and stuff. So I don't know. It's a far more varied job than what I was doing, which was just sitting at a computer, emailing people and putting data into a computer. Which I
think the one advantage to you, like me being Dollman on you, is that you would end up having
conversation piece.
It's a conversation piece, but because you spend a lot of time sitting, you would end up taking me off your waist. So I would probably spend less time on your waist than you would spend on mine.
That's fair. His actual wording just kind of implies that you have to be on my waist, but you're right. If we're being practical to the world in which we live on, I would need to mostly be on your waist because you're moving around. So if I'm supposed to be with you, it's going to have to be moving around with you. Whereas for me, you can still just be hanging out with me while I just set you on the desk in front of me and we're just chatting. I don't know. There's aspects of that that'd be kind of fun, right? Like set you up and like while I'm working on some furniture, we can also be discussing the like hey, what exactly do we want to do with this aspect of our card game? Okay, good stuff.
Well, and like that's the thing. If you're the biggest thing is that if you're locked to the waist, because Dollman can move, so like there's a good argument that I could be like, all right, you're gonna watch, you're gonna mix the chili, and I just put you on the top, and I'm like, you got to be careful because you're wood, but like you can stand up at the top and kind of grab the spoon and run around the edge of the pot or whatever. There's work,
but can I really? Because that's what I was saying. Like in the game, it's like he can't locomote. He can move his arms and his legs so that he can emote, but he can't physically propel himself. And I've always got the idea that the reason they never showed him doing it is because he doesn't have a skeletal structure to support the weight. So even though he can move the items when there's no weight against them, the moment you try and put weight on his legs, there's no rigid structure within the puppet. So he just...
Maybe, I don't know. I didn't think about it.
Because even though he's like, I guess he's a doll. He's not a puppet. He's a doll. So his face looks rough, and like his hands and feet are, but like his suit part seems like cotton, like that's stuffed. But that might also just be, how do you perceive something like that? Are you thinking more Pinocchio but with clothes on, or are you thinking like a doll with a hard face and hard hands and stuff, but a soft body?
Yeah, I don't know. I think of him. I thought of him as like a wooden doll. So,
I mean, I think his head and his face are clearly meant to be some kind of hard material.
Yeah.
So
I go Dollman. I don't know how do you rule?
I think with what I'm going through, I mean, Hartman's kind of on my side. There's some downsides because, there's things that I like to do that would be really weird to have to do them in 21-minute increments. I mean, I've already spelled out the one of them, but there are other things like, cause it's got to be annoying as shit to be like in the middle of like an epiphanal idea. Like say that we're designing something for our card game. We have a really cool idea for how to make something work. And midway through it, I die for 3 minutes. What happens? Do I just lose that idea when I come back? Is it like nothing skipped a beat? Like, what, like that's the weird part. And like, also, am I doing like Hartman and going and visiting a beach for 3 minutes? Can I just keep thinking about what I was thinking about for the 3 minutes until I return to my body? If
Yeah, I
so, it's
don't
not
know.
that bad, you know. But for the most part, I feel like that one's fun. And as weird as it is on the opposite side, that kind of makes sense. As like you said, you being Dolman on me is kind of like almost like a sales tool. Like, what's that thing you have here? Oh, check this out. And then you can start whip out and talking and be like, look at this. Isn't that novel and neat? And they're like, oh, it's like, you know.
I'm a specially programmed doll to tell you about our deals on kids' desks. We have these great desks. They've got a fully attached chair, and if you lift up right here, it's got just enough desk room for a kid to put their lunch and their backpack. We charge $3,000 per. If you buy 100, we take about $1,000 off for every 100 you get. Great deal. Buy from Brett. And I just go back to sleep.
I put a fake like pull string on your back so we can make it seem like you're a toy.
Yes.
One of the times I pull it, you're like, there's a snake in my desk. Yeah, I feel like that's a good answer. I like that. I think I'd be Hartman, goods and bads included. I don't know how I feel about someone else using my body while I'm gone, if we're talking Death Stranding 2. But
let's roll through. Roll through that.
That feels rapey. But moving along, I think that is a good spot to end the brief return, and who knows when the next one may be. But that has been Velvet's Corner. Oh man, Chris can't stand to hear it not.
I didn't want to hear it not finish. Yeah, took my headphones off.
Oh, Chris, we were just talking about not finishing.
We're also talking about being hard as a bike kickstand, so you know,
being hard as the wood of Dahlman's head.
God bless the Pokemon or the whatever PlayStation
God
community.
Bless the Pokemon community. Where's Vaporeon?
Oh, dude, we were talking about this at work, and this new guy was like, "Oh, you know, we were talking about video games." He's like, "What's your favorite Pokemon?" And I was like, "I'm not telling you." And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, I just can't anymore. It's been ruined. He's like, oh, whatever. So I told him, I'm like, my favorite Pokemon's Vaporeon. He's like, yeah, you shouldn't have told me. Like, fuck you, man. That's not that. She's good.
You should have a little more fun with that, though. Because if we're being real, how fun would it be to mess with people's expectations where they go like, what's your favorite Pokemon? I'm like, I can't say anymore, dude. The internet ruined it. And they'd be like, what? And you'd be like,
Typhlosion.
And no, you can go, Vaporeon. And if they don't know, they'll be like, why is Vaporeon? What do they do? And then you could be like, well, everybody says it's like the most fuckable Pokemon. And then the zinger can be, I liked it when only I wanted to fuck her. Now everybody else does. It's a little ruined.
Yeah, it's valid. That's funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a crazy way to end an episode, but I think it's time to wrap this thing down. If you want to support this show with more than just your time, which we are always so thankful for, head over to patreon.com/Nartech and give us as little as $1 per month to keep the show going. Helps us keep the show afloat without having to dig into our own pockets, which just makes it easier to get together and do this and do all the work to put it out, so that we can give up some of the time of our lives to make this happen. With that, we have a number of patrons who've been with us a long time. One of the things we like to do with all of our patrons is shout them out at the end of every episode as a way to say thank you for their extra support. So without further ado, I'd like to thank Ryan Goldner, Low Rate Nate, Spencer, Brandon Edwards, Alex, Barry Rogers, Stingray X, Matt Tubbs, Easton328, Bailey Robertson, Mark Schutz, Rude Days 93, Kevin Bacon Bits, Danny Villobos, Jehudi MD, No Fate, Josh Ayers, Derek Porter, and Sean Santarude. Thanks to each and every one of you, and we will see you next time.